The internet barely survived Tracee Ellis Ross's first bombshell before she detonated another, this one even louder. The initial shock came when Tracee revealed she'd been secretly married to Malcolm Jamal Warner for an entire decade. But before fans could catch their breath, she upped the chaos, dropping a photo of a teenage girl paired with a DNA test carrying Malcolm's name. Her caption: "Brutal. You didn't just steal my husband. You tried to erase my family. Meet our daughter overnight." The storyline collapsed. The woman many thought was only Malcolm's longtime friend had now recast herself as his widow, his partner, the mother of his child, and potentially the rightful heir to a $100 million fortune. Within minutes, the internet exploded. Hashtags caught fire, timeline split. Then the world was left either saluting her courage or questioning her grip on reality. But buried under all that emotional wreckage was one ice-cold question. What if the DNA test was fake? Because now the so-called experts are chiming in, and their whispers could blow this entire saga to pieces. It only took one photo to rattle the internet, a blurry shot of a teenage girl, wide-eyed with a soft smile, posed against a blank backdrop. But let's be clear, it wasn't the girl sparking chaos. This was the file sitting beside her. A one-page DNA report stamped with Malcolm Jamal Warner's full legal name, Stu Indoor. At least it looked that way, on paired with a venomous caption: "You didn't just take my husband. You tried to erase my family. Meet our daughter." That post didn't trend, it detonated. Within 60 minutes, it had cleared 1 million views. Celebrities were reposting it. Talk shows were scrambling for hot takes, and fans were zooming in on every line of that PDF, hunting for cracks in the story. Some crowned Tracee Ellis Ross a fearless mother finally claiming her truth. Others dragged her for weaponizing grief just to stay relevant. But through the storm of praise and suspicion, one brutal fact was undeniable. Let's be real, this wasn't just some photo dump. It was a bloodline declaration. And if that DNA report held up, it flipped the table on everything: inheritance, legacy, even how Malcolm Jamal Warner's death would be carved into history. But not everyone bought the fairy tale, because buried between the image and the outrage were glitch, small, technical, but impossible to unsee. Curiosity quickly morphed into a witch hunt. And that official DNA report ended up under a digital autopsy. Forensic analysts, armchair detectives, and even legal pros tore through the file frame by frame. And the red flags popped up instantly. First, bombshell. The so-called lab on the report doesn't exist. No registry, no certification, no website, no accreditation, nothing. Just a ghost. That alone made people suspicious. But then came the kicker. The barcode stamped at the very top of the page. Barcode itself was a dead giveaway. It didn't line up with the format real U.S. labs actually use. Forensic specialists pointed out that certified DNA facilities stick to strict numeric codes. This one, off balance, almost like it was lifted from some sketchy online template. Then came the so-called signatures. What looked at first like legitimate medical approvals started crumbling under scrutiny. Two analysts even claimed the signatures were practically twins, pixel by pixel identical, as if they'd been shamelessly copy-pasted. One expert went on record: "This structure does not match certified court-admissible DNA reports. It screams template, not a verified lab document." Even the margins were sloppy. Real DNA files, especially the ones meant for legal battles, are built with flawless formatting, clean seals, digital verification. None of that was on the paper Tracee Ellis Ross posted. And yet, the emotional pull of her grieving widow unveiling a hidden child kept the majority silent. Until now. Because, let's be clear, this wasn't just about sloppy formatting. This was about whether the backbone of Tracee Ellis Ross's bombshell was a total fabrication. If that DNA report is fake, even a single detail was doctored, copied, or fabricated, the fallout won't just be emotional. It'll be legal. And it could burn down everything Tracee has built. Legal analysts on national platforms are already warning. The possible charges aren't hypothetical anymore. First on the chopping block, perjury. If Tracee ever tries to waive that report in court and it's exposed as false, she could be hit with serious consequences for knowingly submitting fake evidence. Next, insurance fraud. She filed, or even intended to file, as Malcolm Jamal Warner's widow using that forged paper. The penalties could mean massive fines or worse. And the biggest blow of all, civil liability. Proven fraudulent, Malcolm's $200 million estate could come after her for damages, emotional distress, defamation, and even an attempted theft of inheritance through calculated deception. An insider tied to the Warner family didn't sugarcoat it. They told reporters this isn't just about cash anymore, it's about the truth. If she lied about this, what else has she been hiding? And that question, more than any barcode error or formatting slip, is what's fueling the rage behind the curtain. Because if the DNA report is fake, this isn't just scandal, it's betrayal. A grieving family manipulated, the public deceived. And possibly one of the boldest hoaxes in Hollywood history. While fans obsessed over pixels and fonts, Malcolm Jamal Warner's family wasn't quietly sipping tea. Behind closed doors, the storm was already brewing. Sources close to Pamela Warner, Malcolm's mother, claimed she was furious beyond words the second Tracee's post hit the internet, not just at the claim, but at the theatrics, the timing, and what she believes is a forged document. And now, Pamela is striking back. Insiders say she's already brought in a private team of forensic investigators to tear that DNA report apart piece by piece. She's reportedly calling for a full-blown forensic sweep of every single document Tracee Ellis Ross has ever pushed into court or media hands. But Pamela's not stopping there. She's demanding that all ongoing hearings tied to her son's estate be frozen cold until that DNA report is independently verified under federal oversight. No payouts, no inheritance. Chatter, nothing moves until the truth is stamped official. And privately, she's not mincing words. One family insider claims Pamela declared this isn't a grieving widow. This is a calculated grab for money. Now, she's allegedly preparing to drag Tracee into probate court not as a spouse, but as a fraudulent claimant. For the Warner family, this battle isn't just about guarding Malcolm's $200 million estate. It's about guarding his legacy from what they believe could be the most brazen lie ever told about him. Their silence has snapped. Accusations are flying, lawsuits are looming, and in the middle of the firestorm, one voice stays disturbingly quiet. Tracee Ellis Ross, no interviews, no press, not even a throwaway Instagram story to calm the storms circling her name. And while silence can be a legal strategy, this particular silence is starting to scream louder than any statement. Her attorneys won't even touch the most basic question. Where exactly was this DNA test done? No lab confirmation, no extra documents. No receipts, just the same recycled line about privacy and protecting the child. To her supporters, that looks noble, a mother shielding her daughter from the cruelty of public scrutiny. But to her critics, it's damning. Because when your entire case rests on a single piece of paper, that paper starts falling apart. Silence doesn't look like grace. It looks like guilt. One legal analyst didn't hold back on live TV. If this DNA test is real, Tracee Ellis Ross should be shouting it from the rooftops. The fact that she's not, that's a red flag. And in the court of public opinion, red flags don't just spread, they go viral faster than the facts. What began as a tear-jerking reveal has now mutated into a full-blown mystery. And with Tracee Ellis Ross refusing to say a word, the internet has happily filled the silence. Her legal team may be stonewalling, but the web wasn't about to sit still. Within hours, Reddit lit up with conspiracy threads. Twitter morphed into a forensic crime lab, and TikTok detectives were zooming into screenshots pixel by pixel. What they found was ugly. One Reddit user dropped a side-by-side comparison of Tracee's DNA proof and a stock template pulled straight from a free medical form website. The resemblance? Uncanny. Same line breaks, same table layout, same signature box. Others pointed out the report's date format wasn't even American. It matched the style more common in Europe or South Africa. And that tiny detail sent the internet spiraling into theories of jurisdiction, fraud, and deliberate misdirection. And then came the font. In a twist almost too ridiculous for Hollywood, a graphic designer flagged that the report's header used a sleek sans serif font popular in resume templates, not in certified lab documents. One viral tweet roasted it perfectly. This font is fine for applying at Starbucks, not for proving paternity in a $100 million estate fight. Some brushed it off as nitpicking, but others treated it like the smoking gun, a sloppy mistake, betraying a rushed attempt to fake credibility. Digital forensic groups dove deeper, dissecting file metadata, timestamps, even compression patterns. And while no one's delivered ironclad proof yet, the circumstantial evidence is stacking up by the minute. Because in an investigation this ruthless, even a single wrong font choice can topple an empire. But here's the kicker: what if everyone's dead wrong? What if the internet sleuths, the critics, the so-called experts, all of them jump the gun? There's another angle here, one that's less explosive but way more complicated. What if the DNA report is actually real? It's just badly formatted. Some legal analysts are now suggesting Tracee Ellis Ross might have gone through a small independent lab, one not listed in big public registries, specifically to keep things private. And honestly, it wouldn't be the first time a celebrity sidestepped major facilities just to avoid a leak. The weird font, the odd formatting, the lab nobody's heard of. Those details might not scream fraud. They could simply be the price of secrecy. And if that report holds up under legal fire, the game flips. Tracee wouldn't just be cleared, she'd be positioned to claim spousal benefits, demand her daughter be recognized as Malcolm Jamal Warner's biological child, and push for full heir status in the inheritance war. And that would put Malcolm's ex-wife, who already secured a massive share of the estate, could be yanked back and millions clawed out of old hands. Courts might be forced to slice and redivide the $200 million fortune, and a teenager once hidden in the shadows could suddenly become the rightful heir to a Hollywood empire. Even worse for the Warner camp, the accusations from Pamela Warner, the legal slowdowns, to smear campaigns, all of it could be rebranded as nothing more than a desperate family cover-up to keep the cash locked down. If that's true, then Tracee Ellis Ross wasn't just clawing for attention, she was fighting to be believed in a system hardwired to doubt women who speak late and mothers who drop receipts nobody's ready to face. But even that twist drags us to one haunting truth, lost in the noise. Headlines and online detective games is the one figure this all revolves around. The girl in the photo, no name, no voice, no defense. Just a silent presence thrown into the middle of a multi-million-dollar hurricane. And if that DNA report is fake, she's not an heir, she's a pawn in one of the coldest celebrity stunts we've ever seen. Okay? She never agreed to play, her face and name thrown into a public betrayal she didn't choose. But if the report is real, then she's Malcolm, Jamal Warner's daughter, a child who never once got to call him dad in public. A teenager forced to grieve privately while the world argued over whether she was even real. And now, instead of healing in silence, she's trapped in the middle of estate wars, tabloid gossip, and viral ridicule. There's no manual for this spotlight. No guide for what to do when your very existence becomes Exhibit A in a courtroom. No therapy strong enough to scrub away the scars of millions questioning your bloodline like it's a spectator sport. Her whole identity dangles in limbo, not on who she is, but on what a single PDF claims she might be. And through the chaos, nobody's asking the only question that matters. How do you protect a child from carrying a legacy that might not even belong to her? Because whether that DNA report is fact or fabrication, the damage is already permanent. Tracee Ellis Ross dropped a claim that didn't just break the silence, it threatened to rewrite the entire legacy of Malcolm Jamal Warner. She didn't just call herself his wife. She didn't just claim they shared a daughter. She uploaded a single-page DNA report, one digital receipt that, if authentic, could flip history. And if fake, could obliterate her forever. Now that document sits under a microscope and the pressure is suffocating. Forensic experts say it doesn't look legit. Lawyers are gearing up for battle. Malcolm's mother is demanding a federal-level audit, and the public split right down the middle, believers versus skeptics. Each side locked in rage, neither willing to blink. At the eye of this hurricane is a teenage girl, maybe an heir, maybe a pawn, but without question, a child swallowed by chaos she never chose. And for Tracee, the stakes don't get bigger. If that paper holds, she walks into court as a widow, and walk out crowned as the legal mother of Malcolm Jamal Warner's only heir, holding a $100 million claim to his empire. But if it collapses, this won't just be a bad headline, it'll be a full-scale catastrophe. Legal, reputational, emotional. A betrayal that could torch her credibility, wreck a teenager's future, and drag Malcolm's legacy through a brutal courtroom circus. Because in this saga, the DNA test isn't just a piece of paper, it's the final exam. The ultimate test of truth, of loyalty, of legacy. And when that verdict drops, somebody's world is going to come crashing down.